I'm genuinely excited to share this with you because I know how much of an impact it will have on you and your life and your ability to attract the outcomes and the results that you want, so we can spend more of our time in an abundant state and not in this state of scarcity and fear. And so the very first question that I want you to think about in today's episode is, what is an outcome that you know that you have wanted for a significant period of time, but you continually find yourself in an undesirable outcome, right? No matter what it is that you're trying to do, whether it's trying to change your financial position, whether it's trying to improve your body composition, whether it's with relationships, whether it's with your job, it does not matter what it is. Think of an example in your head of an undesirable outcome that you continually find yourself in, no matter what you do and how you approach it, right? And I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples. Someone who was trying to improve their body composition and lose body fat and keep it off for a significant period of time, but consistently finds themselves in the same cycle of starting and stopping, right? Going through a process of trying to lose the body fat and then finding themselves in the exact same position again. Or maybe you've been trying to improve your financial position, maybe trying to get out of some debt, and you consistently find yourself in this same cycle. And it's like every time you build momentum, you end up back at square one. And it just feels like Groundhog Day. You just end up in this same cycle over and over and over again, no matter what you do, how you do it, who you do it with. It just feels like you're stuck in this rut. Now, this can be a demoralizing feeling, right? It can be extremely frustrating when we know that we're putting in the effort, and it's not from a lack of effort, right? If we use the example of body composition and losing body fat, 9 times out of 10, it's not the lack of effort. The effort is there. The approach may be questionable, but sometimes the approach is spot on. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, why do I consistently find myself in this place that I'm not happy with? And today I want to share with you a framework or a concept that I've been going over with my mindset clients in the last few weeks. And I can tell you now it's drastically starting to shift the way that these clients look at their goals and their intentions and what they're trying to manifest. But more importantly, the approach of how we are going to get to that point where it's not a matter of if these things are going to happen, it's just a matter of when. And it's like there's this deep sense of knowing and a trust and a belief and almost a surrender to the process, knowing that we can have whatever it is that we want, right? Whatever the outcome is that we want, there is not one single reason as to why we cannot attract that. But when we have this cycle, and I often talk about, over the last few weeks in particular, the belief loop. And I wanted to share this concept with you guys as part of this episode as well. Now, majority of our beliefs, majority of them are not true. And at the same time, a lot of them aren't even beliefs that we have created. We've adopted them from someone else, right? Whether it be as we grew up around our family, our parents, whether it be our friends or the environment that we spend time in now, we typically end up taking on these beliefs. And the way that the belief loop works, and I want to explain this for you guys because I think it'll really paint the picture of what we're going to speak about today. When we put our attention on a belief, no matter what that belief is, and regardless of whether it's true or false, because as I've said on the show before, it doesn't matter whether our beliefs are genuinely true or false. As long as we believe them to be true, our experience of that belief will always be true, right? And I'm sure all of you that are listening or watching at the moment can think of an example of a certain belief that you have had reaffirmed over and over and over again to the point where it just feels like that's just how life is and that's just normal for you. But today I want to share a concept that's going to really break that cycle and break the belief so you can start attracting whatever outcome it is that you want into your life and experiencing more abundance and freedom and a level of self-belief that what it is that you want can be attracted into your life, and it is for you, right? This is the thing. We are all equal. There's not one reason why we should spend time in comparison looking at someone else's life in compared to ours and thinking that it'd be nice to have that, or that's just for them and that just can't happen for me. That's just not the case. So the way that the belief loop works is that we put our attention towards a belief, and that is going to lead to our subconscious thoughts. So whatever we believe, our thoughts are going to be aligned with that belief. Now, once our thoughts are aligned with that belief, that's going to lead to the actions that we take. Right, so the thoughts that we're having are going to lead to the actions that we take. The actions that we take are going to give us a result, and that result is going to reaffirm the belief. And so now we're starting to consistently see evidence of why our belief is true. But when you look at this framework, it's just a cycle. And it all started with you putting your attention towards a specific belief. Now, if we know that the majority of our beliefs are not actually true, but because we believe them to be true, they typically end up materializing as a reality in our life, we now have the choice of putting our attention on a new belief, even if at this current moment that belief is just not true, because it doesn't matter, right? And so this is where it starts to get fun. We don't need to go and intentionally change our thoughts. We don't need to intentionally look at changing every single action that we make. And we sure as fuck do not need to believe the results that we are receiving are because that belief is true. It's not. It's because that's where our attention has been. And so you start to see this cycle, right? The more attention I put to a belief, the more my results start to reflect that belief, the harder it is to break that cycle until we start to shift what belief we're putting our attention to. And so you can sit here and map out some of these, or put some thought to some of the beliefs that you put your attention to on a daily, consistent basis, right? And these beliefs didn't just show up, right? You didn't just wake up one day and you had a new belief. It was after a consistent period of time of you either having the same thoughts, putting your attention towards the same beliefs, and the results that you are receiving are always going to reflect that. So how do we change this cycle? As I said, it doesn't take the level of work that you are most likely thinking. It's not like we are stuck in this program and that's just what our life looks like. All we need to do, the only thing that we're responsible for, is what belief do I want to put my attention to? And so this is where it starts to get fun. We can start to sit down and go, okay, well, what belief would align with the outcome that I want? How do I actually want to feel? And what belief would give me the outcome, knowing that by putting our attention on this specific belief, it is naturally going to lead to the subconscious thoughts that we have on a daily basis, which then is going to have a direct influence on the actions that we take, and those actions that we take are going to lead to a new result, which now allows us to start to reaffirm that new belief. And so, having spoken about this over the last few weeks with clients, what that has now led to is the discussion around where we're placing our attention, right? In its most basic form, one of the very first things that I learned with personal development is that where we put our attention is typically what we'll experience more of. And so Tony Robbins has this quote that I think he's quite well known for, where it's like, where attention goes, energy flows. Right? And everything on this planet, including us, is just energy. And so how do we change what we're experiencing? How do we change our reality? We need to shift where we're placing our energy. And so what I would like for you to think about right now is, I want you to think of at least 2 to 3 outcomes that you are trying to change in your life. Okay, again, whether that is losing a certain amount of body fat, whether that's getting out of debt financially, or even just being in a better financial position, whether it is changing, your relationship status, whether it's finding a partner, whether it is attracting a certain level of job or a position within the industry you're in or the career that you're in, certain level of outcome that you want to experience. And the chances are, in your reality at the moment, those things aren't true. You're not experiencing those things yet. And so what typically tends to happen is that we spend a lot of our time and energy focused on getting away from what we don't like. Okay, we put a lot of energy and attention towards the thing that we don't want because we wish that we weren't experiencing it. And so the concept I'm going to run through with you now is drastically going to shift the results that you see in your life with one simple framework. So I have just mentioned that we tend to put a lot of our time and energy towards the thing that we don't want. And so I want you to come back to those examples you thought of before and ask yourself the question, how much time throughout my day do I put my time, my energy and attention towards what I'm trying to get away from? And so we're going to use the body composition example here. And again, this applies for money, for jobs, for relationships, for materialistic things. It's all the same. So if you're someone who has, for a long period of time, wanted to change the way that you look, you wanted to change the results that you have seen from your training and your nutrition, and you might have a significant amount of body fat that you want to lose, or it might be a small amount, but you're just not happy with where you're at right now. Again, I'm going to come back to the same question. How much of your time are you spending thinking about the fact that you don't want to be in the current physical condition that you're in? And so where the magic happens, and the big mindset shift that I want you to take from this episode today, is that our results, the things that we attract into our life and what we experience in our reality, is always going to skew towards wherever the stronger emotion is. And so understanding that allows us to almost do a stock take on our own life at the moment. And so if we come back to the body composition example, if I'm sitting here and I might have 5 to 10 kilos of body fat that I want to lose, and I know exactly where I want to be, right? And this is the part of the process where we need to get exceptionally good at. We need to put a lot of our attention towards. We don't want to spend any of our time thinking, speaking, or feeling into the things that we don't like. Because, by universal law, we will continue to attract more of where our attention is. Right? We're always getting a reflection of who we're being and where we're placing our attention and energy. So what we need to do, and this is the key to unlocking consistent abundance, consistent results, consistent changes for the best in your life, is we need to build a level of love or a level of positive energy and emotion to the point, towards the outcome that we want, to the point where that emotion is significantly stronger than the negative emotion of what we don't want. And so knowing that our results and what we experience is always going to skew towards a stronger emotion, it starts to make sense why we haven't been able to change these undesirable outcomes in our life for a period of time. So if I'm trying to lose this body fat and every single day I'm making food choices, I'm making training choices, every choice, every decision that I'm making and where I'm putting all my energy and attention is purely around trying to not be overweight. It's trying to, the attention is going towards not being in debt, or not being in a financial position that I don't like, or not being single, or not having the job that I would like. And so if all of our energy and all of our emotion, and the strongest emotion, is towards the thing that we do not like, then this is exactly why we continue to end up in the same spot. And so what do we need to do in order to change that? In theory, it's quite simple. We need to fall in love with what it would feel like to have what we want. We need to fall in love with the idea of where we're going and start to detach from what we're trying to get away from. Right? And we can think of so many examples in our own lives where the thing we're trying to get away from the most is the thing that tends to follow us all of the time. And that is because the negative emotion towards it is far stronger than the positive emotion of where you're trying to go. Right? If we think about I heard this the other day, and I know it's a little bit cheesy, a bit corny, but in our car, if we were to consistently look in the rearview mirror while we're driving, we're going to crash into something. We are not going to get to the destination where we want to go. In order for us to get to that destination, we are always looking through the front windscreen. We're always looking ahead to where we're going, and we're building a level of excitement, hopefully, to where we're going, right? And so the hack or the framework or the takeaway from this episode today is, can you get to the point where the strong or the positive emotion towards the outcome that you want is significantly stronger than the negative emotion of what you don't want? And if we put this in simple terms, it's a very simple question. Do I hate the thing that I don't want more than I love the thing that I do want? And as long as you hate the thing that you don't want more than you love the thing that you do want, then it'll always skew in the direction of this low frequency negative outcome, because that's where most of your energy and attention is going. And it sounds very simple because it is. All right? And what's also happening is, if we're sitting here and we're placing all this energy and effort and thought towards what we don't like, what we're really saying to the universe is, this is what I have. And one of the key fundamental concepts around personal growth and around manifesting and the law of attraction is assuming your manifestation done. And what that means is that we need to spend as much of our time on a daily basis in the full embodiment of already having the outcome that we want. And so the universe is always catching up to who we're being. It's not about what we're doing. It's who am I being? And so if we come back to the weight loss or the fat loss example, who are you being when you're overweight? All of your energy and attention is going towards being someone who is overweight. Whereas if you were to shift that and start to live your life from this exact moment right now as if you are already in a position where you want to be, before anything has changed, reality is now catching up to who you're being. And so this is where the opportunity, which is often disguised as a challenge or a problem, this is where it lies. Right? We've placed an order with the universe, right? And this is a concept that I've been speaking about with my clients in the group as well, is that when we decide what we want, we get really clear on what outcome it is that we want. We place our order with the universe. We have an intention, we have a desire, we have a manifestation. We need to have a strong emotion attached to that idea or to that visualization, right? Now, when we do this, we have to have a deep level of trust and belief that the universe will deliver. And if we have trust and belief that the universe is going to deliver, because again, like what the thing that's within our control and the thing that we need to do is consistently place our energy and attention on the feeling of having what we want already. The how and the when is none of our business. We're not responsible for that. That will continue to show up along the way. But when we don't know the how and the when, we typically just give up. So we need to shift away from that. And when we've decided what it is that we want, get ready, because the universe is going to place what I refer to as a ticket for growth right in front of you, which is often disguised as a problem. It's disguised as a challenge. It's disguised as a reason to not go after what we want because it's uncomfortable. But that is the exact thing that you need to move through in a state of non-resistance to show the universe that you are ready. Right? You have asked the universe for something and the universe always delivers. And when the thing shows up and it's not what you thought it was going to be, we don't get to decide whether or not that's right or wrong. We don't get to decide whether we still trust the universe or not. Because if we trust and believe that the universe always has our back, then we know that whatever is in front of us is meant to be there. And it's like a PlayStation game, right? You have all these levels in the game, and in each level there's a mission that you need to pass to get to the next level. And if you do not pass it, you go back to the start of the level because you are not ready for what's next. And so next time something shows up on your path to wherever it is that you want to be, to whatever outcome and reality is that you're trying to attract and change in your life, when something shows up that you didn't expect, or it doesn't go the way that you thought it would, we have to be able to sit here and go, okay, this is my opportunity to show the universe that I'm ready. Because we have one of two choices. We are either ready or we're not. And if we drop back into the same familiar pattern, the same response, the comfort, right? We divert from the uncertainty and the unfamiliar feeling, which is essential in order for us to experience something different. And if we see this challenge, or we see what we refer to as a problem, and we go back to what's comfortable, we go back to what we would usually do when we make the same choice that we've always made, then all we're doing is telling the universe that, hey man, I'm not ready. And that's okay? And that's going to happen. But the beauty is the universe will place you in that same position again, right? And this is what we experience. It feels like it's just Groundhog Day, same shit over and over and over again. But it's because you are responding as the same person every single time. We have to be able to respond as the highest version of ourselves to show that we are ready to handle what's next. Because if you cannot move through in a state of non-resistance, through any form of resistance right now, then what makes you think you are ready for what's next? And so by understanding this, what it also does is it allows us to detach. It allows us to detach from the emotional side of it and trying to decide all the time whether this is right or wrong, or whether things are working or not working. Things are always working for you. The things that show up in front of you are there for a reason. It's your opportunity, it's your ticket for growth to go to that next level. And so the way we move through these areas of resistance in a state of non-resistance with a knowing, right? A deep knowing that, and a trust and a belief that this is meant to be here. And we keep our focus on having a strong emotion, a strong positive emotion towards the outcome that we want as if it's already done, then your life will start to change in front of your eyes. It truly will. It truly will. Whatever the emotion, whichever emotion is stronger, whether it's the negative or the positive, is exactly where you're going to end up. And so things start to make a lot of sense. It starts to make sense why you've been in this same negative outcome over and over and over again, because that's where you are placing most of your energy and attention. That's what you're identifying with. That's who you are being. And so if you truly want change, we have to detach from what it is that we don't like. Let go of it. Right? It's just a chapter. It's a part of your story. It's not the full story. You are the one who gets to decide what goes on the next page. But for the next page to look like something that you're happy with, all of your energy and attention at the back end of this episode, right, needs to go towards how can I fall in love with the feeling of having what I want, to the point where that is far stronger than the negative emotion towards what I don't want.